Hello everyone, I'm Chris Erkley and welcome to another edition of the Political Empire. Following weeks of criticism from veterans and politicians, the Department of Defense announced April 15th that it was abandoning a proposed idea that would have honored pilots flying unmanned drones. The Distinguished Warfare Medal was proposed in February to recognize the combat role of drone pilots. The medal would have placed above both the Purple Heart and Bronze Star in terms of hierarchy. Few argued against honoring drone pilots for their contributions to combat. Its proposed ranking is largely what drew complaints, including from local veterans. Moving on for news now from Riverside County. The Riverside County supervisors could impose an election year restriction on spending from a special fund intended to help charities and community groups. Here to talk about the community improvement funds is reporter Jeff Horseman. Jeff, what exactly are these funds?
Well, yeah, the technical term is the Community Improvement Designation Fund, and this is a pot of money that's set aside every year in the county budget and distributed to all 5 supervisors in equal amounts. I think the total pot's about $2.4 million this fiscal year, and the idea is that the supervisors, look in their districts and various charities and community groups, and a lot of times even government agencies, including county departments, will ask them, "Hey, can we have some of this money to help us with our food bank or with our, an event we're putting on and so forth?" And the supervisors will, grant the request for this, and they present them to the board, and you need 4 out of 5 votes on the board to approve these requests. It's a very routine item usually on the agenda. There's usually 3 or 4 requests for funding per meeting.
Why exactly do they want to restrict their use during election years?
Well, basically, they want to get away from the perception right before an election that maybe they're giving these out to either boost their own profile or as like a quid pro quo from a head of a charity. Hey, if you donate to my charity, these funds, I'll give you a campaign contribution. There's been some questions and concerns about that. And I should note too that what they're also looking at is also imposing a blackout period for mailings from county government that would prominently feature a supervisor, like, hey, Supervisor Joe Smith invites you to this cleanup gathering or something like that.
I understand one supervisor who lost re-election last year may have overspent his fund allocation.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They didn't mention him by name, but Supervisor Jeff Stone basically said last week that Bob Buster, who lost his re-election bid to Kevin Jeffries last November, overspent his community fund allotment. I think he said by 25%. Now, I talked to Bob Buster, and he basically said, hey, there were pressing needs. We had to get a fire station up and running in my community, and I spent that money in order to do that. So yeah, I mean, but it's just, the bottom line is Kevin Jeffries, his successor, is saying that he doesn't have any money to spend in community funds until July 1st when the new fiscal year begins.
All right, Jeff, thanks for joining us. That does it for this edition of the Political Empire. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.